action. Action is everything. Take action now. And I invested. And that was the first personal development program that I had ever invested my own money to. Like, I'm all in, 10 out of 10, no regrets now, but I do remember making that purchase and I was like, what the hell have I done? Like, I was not, because it was just such a huge thing for me to invest that much money into myself. I'd never done it before. Do not wait. Do not say to yourself, oh, I'll do it when I'm ready. Do it now when the nudge is there.
Kia ora and welcome to the Untapped Podcast. Today I am very excited to be able to share this interview and this special session with the beautiful Gayle. So Gayle is an Untapped student of ours based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and today we're going to be exploring her journey into business from being a solo mama, holding so much and into entrepreneurship. So Gayle, welcome to the podcast, and I would love to give you a moment just to introduce yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Well, ngā mihi nui ki a koe. Thank you so much, B and Untapped, for having me in this space to share and korero about what I get up to in the world. But like you said, B, I am a solo mama of 3, currently residing in Te Awamutu Foxton here in New Zealand. I've done it all. I've moved through systems. I've gone off benefits, gone to work on to 9 to 5s, and now I own my own business. So it's definitely been a journey.
Yeah, so hugely inspiring. Every single time that life throws a challenge or something about, don't have enough time, don't have enough money for this, I feel like you just eat it for breakfast and you're like, well, we're doing it. So it's been awe-inspiring, and that's why I really want to get you on the show today and just to share more about how you've actually navigated that and what you've built. So take us back to, so for those listening, we are going to be exploring the mindset shifts that Gayle's overcome, what she's built, how she's actually held, being on the benefit, building a business, figuring out all the ins and outs of business, to actually now be running her own group program with mamas. So take us back a couple of years, Gayle, to where this all started, even as an idea. And, I think there's a lot of people listening probably have these ideas about things they might like to do one day. So take us back to that moment.
Okay. So if we're going to take it back a couple of years, approximately 2 years ago, and my story's quite large, but I'm just going to give a snippet. Approximately 2 years ago, my mum was like fresh out of rehab, and I had the opportunity to move home and support her and help her on her sobriety journey, which was quite a hard decision for me to make. That was one of my first really hard decisions to make that I fought internally with. And I took the leap of faith and I ended up moving home. Me and my 3 kids. Yeah, I had my youngest by then. Me and my 3 kids. We moved home with my mum. And in that time, I had been following you, B, and Untapped for quite a while. And I had personal development on my mind, but I was just so scared to take that leap of faith, right? I had all the excuses in the world. I, didn't have enough time, couldn't find babysitters, didn't have enough money, all those things that just pop up in your minds. And especially as me being a single parent, only one bringing in money. So that was a huge factor for me. And so I moved home and I actually ended up quitting my job. So that was kind of a phase of it. I quit my job, and the purpose of that was to help look after my mum. But then I kind of dove into doing other things that I didn't really do, that I also put on the back burner, like my creativity, art. I love art, and I stopped doing that because I was so in that academic world, going to Massey University, all that kind of stuff. Had stopped all the things that actually lit my soul on fire. So I went back and I did art, and I saw the world a little bit differently, right? Moving from doing a lot of theory, academic work, to going back and just being creative. And I was at home, and then I got an email, and it said it was when you did High Performing Women. And I got an email, and it was like, this is the last time we're doing this program. And that was kind of it. And I was like, oh no, I definitely have to do this, because I've been following it for so long and I've wanted to do it for so long. And I put it on the back burner that I finally said, you know what, F it, like I'm in. I'm at home. I do kind of ish. I was still paying all the bills, but I was like, I need to do this because it's going now. So it was a little bit of fear, but I was also like, I had seen the results from other people. I'd seen you grow too, be because I met you way before Untapped, and I just seen it all unfolding, on social media and all the platforms that we're on. And I was like, I want that. And so I finally said yes, and I invested. And that was the first personal development program that I had ever invested my own money to. That was the first time I took a bet on myself to take that risk and just say effort, like I'm all in. And obviously 10 out of 10, no regrets now, but I do remember making that purchase and I was like, what the hell have I done? Like, I was not, because it was just such a huge thing for me to invest that much money into myself. I'd never done it before. And so, and then it was actually quite funny because then, like, the little video popped through and it was like a little video from you, and you were like, you're probably thinking, what have I done? And I was like, is she in my mind? But I get it now because, now I work with mamas who have those same thought processes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember being there. But yeah, that's if we take it right back. That's when I first finally stepped in to myself, said yes to myself, took that risk on myself and said I'm worth it. So yeah, that was kind of me first dabbling in that kind of personal development. Actually, I could do this kind of space.
Amazing. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so many things you touched on there are just so important as well. It's like, since then, it's been incredible to witness the growth that you've had because I think you broke through that threshold, right? That first thing of like, actually, I'm worth it, and investing in me is a great asset. And that is a huge mindset shift. I think a lot of us are taught to invest in houses, stocks, even traditional tertiary education. But when it comes to like actually investing in ourselves as an asset, that can be terrifying for people. But the moment you do it, isn't it incredible? Because then you gain all this confidence, all this self-worth, let alone all these skills, like actual embodied integrated skills. So tell us then, so obviously, yeah, you did the program. It was the last one that we ran, which is amazing. And I know you came through. And for anyone tuning in, I think at that point it was about, it was like 1,000, 1,500 like to invest. So it was a decent investment, especially as like the first thing that you're committing to. And it was an 8-week program, right? So tell us a little bit from that point to your own transformation. Where did how did that then support you to start to like bring through these ideas of entrepreneurship? And what was like, how did that unfold?
Yeah. So, before I even jumped in that space, I had created like a bit of a separate page for me to start sharing my personal journey. That was kind of actually the first I don't want to say smaller step because every step is a really good step, but that was one of the first steps that I actually took to push myself out of that comfort zone. However, I still wasn't very consistent in that space because I was still battling like limiting beliefs, which is one of my favorite topics now because I've smashed through so many beliefs that I was telling myself. The HPW and then Ascension, they just both supported me with that foundational mindset transformation, pretty much. Like, it opened up a whole nother world to me. I have always had an open mind, but this just like transformed my mind. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. The way I look at things now, like if I were to compare myself now to even just a year ago, 1 year ago me would be losing her shit. Like, she would be like, what the hell? Like, I remember how hard it was for me to quit my job. I think I was in HPW at that point, but being in that program actually helped me be more confident in the decisions that I was making and truly honoring and trusting what I wanted to do instead of getting really logical and being like, oh, but what if, scared that people are going to judge me for the choices that I was making. It really set me up with that foundation of actually I matter, like what I want matters. And I'm allowed to make the choices that are going to be good for me and my children, right? I really kicked off like, it was still dabbling there, judgment and stuff. But because I had that solid foundation in Untapped and that support and that unwavering love, I felt stronger. I was like, okay, like people believe in me. Now I need to believe in myself. So it just having people around me who were in spaces that I wanted to be in. Like, of course, I want to take their advice because they're exactly where I want to be. You're exactly where I wanted to be back then. So just having that foundational support, building confidence in myself, that mindset transformation, that change, it was just and still is a very solid foundation that I run by.
Yeah. And I love that you really, to be honest, that you like started with this as well, because this is something I see that when people get business coaching or strategy support or whatever, and then they don't know why it's not working and they don't know. And it's like, because actually underneath it, all the foundations are shaky, like the self-worth, the leadership, the communication, the self-love, like all business is so interconnected to all of that, because your business and what you're building is an expression of you, right? So yeah, I do think it's really interesting in the business world when I see a lot of like strategies out there and people can't figure out why they're not working. It's like, because there's no actual clear foundations for you as the creator of it. So yeah, I think watching your growth, and I would also say like the way I'm witnessing you growing is like a very sustainable, expansive growth. Like when you do something, you do it well, you integrate it, then you move into the next thing. And it's like, I know it's a steep learning curve, obviously, especially like the past year, but also it's nothing's going, no, some people, they grow and then they just fall backwards straight away. Like you haven't done that. It's like, whoa, okay, reset, go again, elevate again. And I remember you were sharing a little bit online about your story, and, past challenges that you've overcome. And I think for some people, that's a really scary thing, is to share some of that more vulnerability. It's something I've always massively admired about you, is that you're really open about your past, your challenges. And I think that's a huge part of, right, why you're doing what you're doing, is to empower other people that this is possible. Yeah. When did you decide that you wanted it to be a business? Because it's quite different to go from I'm sharing part of my story to I'm going to turn this into a business. Like what actually inspired you to do that? Obviously you're around people doing it, which is huge. But yeah, what inspired that?
So actually I had wanted to start my own business like before even jumping into personal development kind of space. So I just had no idea where to start.
Yeah.
And I just also did not have that confidence. At the time I would always tell myself, oh, you're too young to do that. Those stories that we tell ourselves. And I had wanted to do it for ages. I wanted to contract for myself because I already had I got registered as a social worker and I know I'm good at what I do and I love what I do. So I was like, I could probably do this for myself. But then it was just really, I was struggling because I'm the first one in my family to like finish school, to go on to university, to start a business. So I didn't really have anyone to look up to in terms of that in my sphere, right? Yes. So I had to I was breaking through all these things left, right, and center. But business-wise, yeah, I'd always wanted to do it. I just had no idea where to start. So when I did do these personal transformation programs, I started building the confidence to truly believe in myself and that I could do it. And then I got really stuck on, okay, well then how do I do it? Like, the question changed.
Yeah. And so it's like, got this passion, got this energy. Now, where do I channel it?
Yeah. And, I kind of went through that, like the steps, I guess, and Untapped, I did HBW Ascension and then Mastery was there. And, I ummed and hard about Mastery for a little while too, because I knew I wasn't quite solid in the how. I wanted to work with my mamas, but again, I ended up just saying, what, I'm all in now. Like, there's no going back. Like, so I was like, I'm in. Like, I really want to be able to learn these business skills and how to set up a business and how to set up programs. Like, all of that was new.
Yeah,
all of that was so new for me, and jumping into all these programs, each one of them, I was so scared. Like, I was like, what am I doing? But it was like great. It was amazing all at the same time because I was around like-minded people. I was around people who were wanting to serve their communities, in different kinds of ways. But at the end of the day, that shared vision to serve our communities. And I was purposely putting myself in there to be able to keep that passion burning, right? Keep the momentum flowing, albeit at that time I still didn't really know the how because I had like 500 different ideas and I was like, how do I refine this?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So much gold. So I think that's an important thing when you just touched on there is like when you're at that idea phase, you've been sharing a bit in the world, which was amazing. There has to be a line in the sand moment where you go like, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to turn this into a business. I think people wait too long. I think people dabble for like 2 years and have a little nudge, but you just got to get real with yourself. Like you have no idea how to do it. Therefore you should hire a mentor. I think it's really, and sometimes things can unfold organically, but they can take years, right? To do it that way. And I think it was really brave for you to be like, no one's ever done this in my family. I have no idea how it's going to look, but let's just learn the fundamentals. And, once you do learn those skills, it can actually become pretty simple eventually. There's two biggest things I think I'm always really impressed that you overcome that I know that pretty much every listener will probably have a similar concern. One is time. And any time that actually you get the award for managing both. There's two reasons that most people never go for their dreams and turn their passion into profit or their passion into a real business. One is time and one is money. These are two things that I am forever in awe of you and how you navigate. Time, I mean, you've got 3 children, you've got so much happening in your life, like it's unbelievable. And then financials, money and investing, there's a lot that you're holding financially. I would love you to share any mindsets, any words of wisdom, like how have you actually navigated that? Because from anyone who gets to give top tips and advice on this, it's you. It's not me actually. It's or anyone else who's got kind of more privilege per se in this area. You are like the expert of how you work with what you have. So how have you navigated continually investing in your future? You got limited resources, you've got 3 kids you're holding, you've got a household that you're running as a solo mama. Like how have you actually financially prioritized to continue to invest in your dreams and like the support that you need?
Yeah, so I think for me, when I'm quite dedicated, I'm quite dedicated. And I'm going to start off or maybe on a not so positive. So like when I was younger and even as a mum, I had addictions. I could easily find money to fuel my addictions because that's what I was so passionate about at the time, right? If I wanted it, I would go for that. I made it happen. And as I, got on and got on my sobriety journey and all that kinds of stuff, that's a whole nother podcast. But it was the same with my personal development. I had to really dig down deep, like how bad do I actually want this? Because where my money is going right now is saying clearly that I don't want it. Like I could easily splurge money on takeaways, all the things. But when it came to personal development, I obviously didn't want it because my money wasn't going there. And so that was quite a aha and like a big slap in the face all at the same time, because I used to have all these excuses. I used to have all the excuses in the world about why I couldn't do something. And time and finances, you hit the nail on the head. They were like a couple of them top ones, or just I can't find someone to watch the kids. When I really looked at where my time was going, it was going into places that wasn't even serving me. Like I was hanging out in environments that weren't serving me. I was spending money on things that weren't serving me or my family. And that's just facts. That's where my money was going. And, it was what it was. But when I finally said, actually, I want more. Me and my kids deserve more. We deserve better. When I finally put the stake in the ground and, put my skin in the game, I prioritized it. I stopped getting as much takeaways. I have I've actually been pretty good at budgeting my whole life. And that was learnt because I didn't want to be like my family. So I was like, no, we are budgeting, we're getting this right. We're making sure all the bills are paid. if you look at my Google Docs and my Excel spreadsheets, it goes back years. Like that's how much I budget, because I was like, no, like this is not happening for me and my whānau. So when all I had to do was reshuffle my finances. And I say that like it was easy, because it was. I just chose not to make that choice, right? I chose not to do that. But when I finally was like, actually, yes, I want to be in personal development. I want to invest in myself. I want to start a business. My money started funneling into that direction as opposed to where it went before. And yeah. And as for time, oh my gosh, I'm now like a calendar guru as well. My whole life is in my calendar. And I even blank out time blocks where I'm just mum, or I blank out time blocks where I self-care, and I blank out time blocks when we're recording podcasts or doing work. Like my calendar is to a T. There is some white space in there too, surprisingly. But, it's just, I have my calendar, a structured calendar, and my finances are in check, just making sure it all goes to where it needs to go.
Yeah, amazing. There's so much magic in what you just shared. It's like, I think so many of us, when we have time and money, like time and money are always going to be reasons, or as you framed, excuses, right? They're always there. You can always grab them and use them to not be doing what you're doing in your dreams. But I think there's a few things. The first thing, you take radical responsibility. You're like, I'm not going to buy my own excuses. Like I'm either, because I do have time and I do have money, I'm choosing where to put that right now. And it's not towards my dreams. And I think that's such a reframe for people maybe tuning in who are dealing with this, with maybe their customers saying this, or you're doing this to yourself. It's like, we all have time and some level of money, right? Different resources, but we all have some element. We are choosing every single day where we are channeling that. And I think the thing I hear you got radically responsible about is like, I do have time and I actually do have a bit of money, but I'm choosing to put it into things that are not my dreams. And I'm done with that. And I'm worthy of like actually prioritizing myself. So I love that honesty. And, and it is like, when you get radically responsible, it's like, cool, get the budget out, get the Excel out. We're going to do this, get the calendar going. Like, we're going to make this happen. And even for me, when I left law, like I remember I was still working really big hours as a lawyer. And I remember deciding, similar thing around the time. So I used to go to work at 7 a.m., leave at 10 p.m. I was like, when am I going to build a business? And I made this rule with myself, one thing a day, just one, even if I do one tiny, tiny, tiny thing on my business. And I remember I made that commitment. And in 6 months, I actually had a business of some sort, right? Like a brand and a thing and an offering. And it was like, wow, okay. So it's wild how easy it is to make those reasons to not go after our dreams. And then it's also kind of wild, once you make the decision, it's like everything starts spinning.
I know.
Yeah.
Can I quickly could I add something?
Of course.
So like, I was talking about how I moved home. So I only stayed home for a year and then we moved out. And then I do remember freaking out about the finances again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going back to paying like $500-$600 a week of rent. Like, it was real. And that's been my reality the last a year and a bit now. But again, I shuffled my finances around and I made it work. I dropped what we really did not need and I funneled it to where I actually truly wanted it to go and to where it was important.
Yeah, also remember from memory, there was also some cool things happen. Like I remember when you were doing that and there was like, I don't know, I just remember you were like, oh, someone just dropped this round and I just got this for free. And I remember like, it's like, I know it's a bit, it's not so easy to trust this, but like the universe gets behind you. And I think I remember my first or second week working on my like self-employed per se, but I only made like $200 a week at that point. I was kind of like living on savings. And I remember friends from law who were still working at like with salaries, and we'd go out for lunch and they'd be like, how's it all going? And like, I always gave myself, I said I could have one coffee out a week when I first left, because obviously I couldn't afford to just be having coffees every day. And I remember like friends shouting me lunch and stuff because they clearly knew it was like pretty hard. And I remember just like crying and feeling so grateful because I was like, wow, I've chased my dreams and now people are supporting me and people are helping out. And so maybe if you're tuning in listening to this, I know we know it's terrifying and it's all relative, how much money you think you need or whatever, but also people, it's wild. Like people will show up and support you and magical things will happen when you back yourself as well. Okay. You said something earlier that I think is really important. You said I had like 500 ideas and I was like, how am I going to refine this? unbelievable amount of people experience this. And I do sales calls all the time, and people come and they're like, oh, so I'm thinking retreats and program and online course and an app with a membership. And I'm like, oh, okay. So tell us like how, obviously you can talk about the programs or like maybe the biggest insights for you. How did you channel that into something specific that you've actually monetized now? Like,
Yeah. Perfect. So I jumped onto mastery, which was kind of my step, and I got those foundational frameworks that were sent out. But what actually helped me, because I had like 500 ideas and I did not know which route to take. And me being me, I'm like, I can just try to do everything. No, that's really hard. And it doesn't help. So Incubator came out, and I remember that came out, and then I messaged you and I was like, I feel like I need to jump on this so that I can refine my offer, because I just have so many ideas. Sorry, a notification's just come up. It's saying my audio is not thinking. That's
I've got you. So
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
All good. I don't have my. Anyways, Incubator. That was your fresh new program, and I was like, okay, how can I get in on this? And so I jumped into the Incubator. And that just had all the, how do I frame it? It had all the framework. So it was 4 weeks, right? 4-week program. And it had all the questions to refine, like our why, our mission, our values, and then actually the core program, right? The core program itself. And it just blew my mind that I was able to create my program in 4 weeks, because I just had so many ideas, and I was struggling to pinpoint, do I want to like partner with organizations that are already working with mums? Do I actually want to work with mums? Like I would just, and again, I was also coming from a social work, background. So that's a whole nother level of thinking to my now life coach certification, right? They're very, very different lenses. So I remember that was quite a struggle, and I was like, no, like I'm real solid. Like I want to work with the mamas. Like I want to work with mamas face to face, well, virtually. And that's what I want to do. Like I want to work with the mums. I want to help them move through mind shift changes just like I did. And I got real solid in my core program during the incubator. And I'm so grateful and thankful, because now I've done like 3 cohorts. But but hey, like honestly though, 4 weeks just blows my mind, because I had been pondering that for so long, right? I'd been pondering it for so long because I was just unclear and unsure. I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how. So yeah, that set up my program and was the start of my Mana Wahine program under my Korero Mai umbrella. Yeah. And I'm so grateful.
Yes. Oh, I love it. It's so powerful. Yeah. So that process, for those tuning in, the incubator, we've just seen people spin their wheels for too long, like 2 years, just still trying to get clarity, still trying to like commercialize or take your gifts and your mission and your values and turn it into something that the world actually wants and needs and will pay for. And basically in that 4 weeks, that's what we help you do. Get alignment in your vision and mission. Make sure that you're working with people that you're truly inspired by and want to, because a lot of people go towards like where they think they might be able to make money or like funding initiatives or whatever, when it's actually like you can meet that perfect sweet spot. And then you do the market research, really understand the problem that you want to solve for people, and then you curate and design and Gayle mentioned this, what's called an offer. So an offer is, it's like could be a workshop, could be a retreat, could be an 8-week curriculum. It's something that we put to the world after having done all this research and positioning, and go like, right, now I understand you and who you are. I know and believe and know within my soul that this program and offer and experience will transform lives. And it's really, it's amazing that at the end of the 4 weeks, you can launch this and pretty much have that confidence, right? It's not always 100% perfect, but because of the way the design process works, you're actually researching and working with people. And then so whatever you build, because a lot of people also build things and then they launch it to the world and the world's like, I don't want that, So it's a super cool process. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did too. I put my beta out to the world, and then I had like 30 mamas jump on my 6-week beta at the time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And it was like 30 mums registered. And you're like, of course they did. The universe has been waiting for you. And I was like, oh gosh, like, and it went amazing. And then from that beta, I made it into a paid program. And you did dabble that on a bit because I was and I was wondering if I should take that funding route and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, funding's cool and great. Like, it's there if we need to tap into that resource. However, my actual priority, like, yes, I'm here to serve my mamas. Yes, like 100%. And I want Korero Mai Mama. I want my business to actually be sustainable and run itself without having to rely on external factors. Like, that is super important to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Huge insight there. And I know for someone listening, you might think, oh, but who's going to pay for my thing? And, they won't be able to afford it or whatever. But when you truly build something that aligns for you, solves a problem for them, and we get that price point fair and right for everyone, it's like, then you can actually build a business that sustains you long term. And of course you could top it up with some funding stuff later, but then obviously then the income is fully sustainable for you, which is huge. And so tell us now, it's like worlds apart, right? Now you have Korero Mai Mama, like you've got this you've got your website, you got your page, you've got this core program, Mana Wahine, that you're running consistently. I mean, life's changed a lot. What I guess for you, what have you, I guess what's like a truth you now know, and then what are you looking forward to creating in the next chapter?
Yeah, a truth that I now know is that, oh man, there's just so many popping to my head, but the one that's popping to my head the most is that worthiness aspect. Because I used to say to myself quite often, oh, I don't feel worthy enough of this. Like, someone else could do it better. Like, those things used to pop up into my brain quite often. However, now I know that was just a limiting belief. Like, I know that now. And, if anyone, yeah, it is. It's just that I am worthy aspect. It is that other mamas like me do want to create change. Other mamas like me do want to build their confidence. They do want to have that mindset transformation. And a lot of the mamas I've worked with are also first generational changing the cycle in their family. Mamas want to do this. People want to do this. And I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone to really figure that out properly, because we can get really blinded by what we see in society, social media, all of the things. But when we actually truly see the world for what it is and where people are at, people do want to change. But it's about, that whakamana, that empowering others to empower themselves to make that change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you went through that transformation, that's what's so incredible about what you can now gift to the world is you've got lived experience, you've done your business training, you've also done, your own NTT or NLP training, you've done a whole bunch of amazing stuff. And all of these tools and all of this training, let alone like obviously being certified, like social worker and all these things now come together for you to be able to support these mamas. And there's for us, that's our mission, right? Is I know that the best person in the world to support these mamas right now is you. You've lived it, you've breathed it, you like that's what's incredible. So I'm so privileged and honored that we get to be able to support you to make your dreams a reality so you can empower so many more. Like that's humanity. That's all of the ripples. And I think it's really cool what you touched on there is that sometimes, we can be in a bubble and not like maybe lose our belief in humanity, but as a visionary leader and taking a stand for humanity, like what you're doing right now is like, I know it's scary. I know you've got to invest and got to get over all those hurdles that I did too. But I also know that you want change and I'm here to help you do that. And I think that it's so brave to be someone who puts yourself out there and is of service to humanity. It's a bit scary. Sometimes you get rejected. Sometimes, you fall flat on your face. But yeah, I really acknowledge you for being someone who's willing to put something at stake and put your skin in the game to then help so many others do the same. And Mana Wahine is changing so many lives. So for anyone who's tuning in, you are going to want to go follow Gayle on social media, Korero Mai Mama. What's the best places, Gayle, for people to follow along?
Yeah, just the best places are definitely Insta and Facebook, and it can be both on Korero Mai Mama. So
Yeah.
that's Korero_my_mama. But then you can also find me because I share on both. So Korero Mai Mama is like my podcast and my programs, but then I share a lot of my personal story on my own page. And that's G Gayle Moana-Johnson, G Moana-Johnson. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put the links in the show notes as well, because Gayle is unbelievably inspiring. And maybe if you're listening to this and you're a mummy yourself who wants to find a safe space to do some personal transformation work, I can vouch for Mana Wahine and Gayle's community that she's building. Or maybe you know someone right now who could do with that support. That would also be incredible. Gayle, is there any final words of wisdom that you have for maybe someone who's listening, who's, I don't know, sitting there thinking like, well, I've got 500 ideas and I've got a mission on my heart. But yeah, anything you want to share to close out?
Yeah, 100%. It's that you are totally worthy of narrowing down your ideas and then bringing them to fruition. Like, you are totally worthy, because I've noticed that when we focus, when we're quite laser focused on one thing, everything else just seems to flow as well. So your other ideas will probably come to fruition as you're laser focusing on that one thing that you want to start with. But yeah, it's just, you're worthy, you can do it, and action. Action is everything. Take action now. Do not wait. Do not say to yourself, oh, I'll do it when I'm ready. Do it now when the nudge is there.
Perfect. Yeah. Because clarity, all the clarity that we're looking for is going to come from taking action as well. And waiting does not give you that. So amazing. Thank you, Gayle, so much for being with us today and sharing your incredible story into entrepreneurship. And we're so excited to continue to follow the journey.